I hope it works now. I just thought about that. My sound. I hope it's set. Like I said, this is the first time. Um, and we'll see. I might keep it up, I might not. This is a pilot. Let's just say this is a pilot. So it's almost 5 minutes. At the 5 minute mark, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. But anyway, so I used to have to set up chairs. I mean, I set up chairs and we had to put everything up. We had to take everything out of a closet, set it all up, and then at the end of service, we had to put everything back. And we had no idea who was showing up to church, and we didn't care who was coming. But we sure put out more than 10 or 15 chairs, even when we didn't even know who was coming. And there were times that literally my pastor, because he eventually became my pastor, he would preach to the chairs. Okay. Because I'm still in, I'm still in service mode. So I'm standing up, I'm armor bearing, I'm serving, I'm just making sure things, that needs to be done is done. So I'm not a participant. I'm working for what we would call an imaginary crowd, but it was energy. We were building energy into that space. And before you knew it, people were coming, and before you knew it, people were coming and coming and coming, and there were over 100 members within a couple of years. And he never changed the way he presented, whether it was one person or three people. And so I'm going to always show up and present, whether it's one person or whether it's, hey, Zahara, thank you for being here. Hey, girlfriend. So listen, so let's go ahead and start talking. I don't know what time I'm supposed to start talking. We're going to figure all this out. But I just said today has to be a day I try it. So let me know what you think about it. Let me know what I could do differently. If you have any questions. Okay, so let's get it cracking. So the subject today is there a coup? And this is an episode of Alert and Lit. And so there's just a couple of things. I want to give some housekeeping things before I get started. I think it's very important for everybody to be on the same page when having these kinds of conversations. And we establish some rules. Okay. So the first rule is everyone is welcome. Every opinion is welcome as long as it's respectful. I ask that you critique without cruelty. And I'm not saying you can't read the hell out of somebody. I'm not saying you can't shade somebody. I'm not saying you can't do all that kind of stuff. But when you start doing stuff that's demeaning and dehumanizing, and you're talking, you're saying things about people out of their name and out of their, doing unnecessary descriptives of what they look like, or just saying nasty things, you will get blocked. I'm not even going to argue with you. I might call you out to embarrass you before I block you. And I may just say, hey, you're ignorant. And I don't, you're blocked. Deuces. Because this is going to be a space where the energy is continually circulating that's positive. It's not going to be a space where we're going to have a whole bunch of negative energy. Okay. So this is what I call lit and alert. And it's a self-care break. I remember we used to have lunch and learns, and I worked at a museum. We had lunch and learns. And so this is just a moment for us to have a conversation over some lunch, over one of your favorite, treats or goodies, whether it's a cocktail, whether it's a gummy, whether it's your, actual lunch for the day, whether it's, I don't care. It's not my business. Whatever gets you into a place where you're relaxed enough to pay attention, because that's the other thing. We're listening to learn, and we're also listening so that we can contribute. And the best way to contribute is when you absorb information, not just immediately respond. And so today we're talking about Basketball Wives, season 12, episode 9. And the title is The New Queen. And so, Basketball Wives, just some information. I have notes. You'll see me looking at notes. Basketball Wives has been in 12 seasons of production. And this particular season has been a focus on, and I've noticed this in a lot of other reality television shows, that there is this intergenerational movement that's occurring within these shows. And when I say intergenerational, I'm talking about the children, I'm talking about the parents, and then I'm talking about the parents' parents. Okay. And then even in that, we're talking about extended family and other people that become involved in reality television shows. And so in thinking about that, Jackie Christie, who is one of the OGs She's one of the original queens of basketball wives. I think she's been there since day one. And I'm sure if she hasn't, somebody will correct me. And I have no problem being corrected. I just don't need to be a bitch when you correct me. I don't need to be no dumbass when you correct me. If it's wrong, just say, hey, you got it wrong. Because I'm human. So I don't have a problem with that. And I am speaking off the cuff to some extent. And I want to be able to riff a little so that I can, also model how to have like stream of consciousness conversations that are productive and make you think and reflect on yourself. So anyway, so Jackie's been married to Doug Christie, who was a former NBA player, star player. He is currently a coach. And so she is what I would call an authentic basketball wife. What do I mean by that? When I say an authentic basketball wife, she is the prototype of what they were looking for with the show. She's married to a basketball star. She has kids. She has money. She's elite. And so this is an example of what I would say is like she is the quintessential type of for a reality television show that's scripted around elite people being married, having families, and navigating their women and Black women navigating their careers as well as navigating family life. Okay. So her daughter has pretty much grown up on the show. And I say grown up, I mean, like I've seen her a couple of times on the show when she was younger. She's never really had her family in the limelight. I think she's tried to be as private as possible about that. There have been moments when things have occurred that she's brought to the show about family, or people have brought to the show that are members of her family. And I don't want to get into those kinds of details, but Chantel is here. So let me tell you about Miss Chantel, because I do think she's an amazing person. Let me first say this. I think she's an amazing, smart, brilliant woman who is doing what most 30-year-olds do, fighting for their lives. Okay. Most 30-year-olds are fighting for their lives. They are trying to find a way to belong. They want to feel like they have an experience, and they want to find their most authentic self. So because she's looking for her most authentic self, she is trying to figure out how to, navigate being an adult and also being not even respectful, because I don't even want to get into the respectability shit. I don't want to get into that. And I'll share a reason why in a little bit. I don't want to get into that, but I just want you to know that if you haven't seen the show, that this topic is about her navigating her relationship with her mother, which is contentious to say the least. Um, I have yet, and this is not a critique of, so let me just say now, so before you be trying to do all this stupid shit, this is not a critique of Chantel or Jackie. This is what I'm observing as a person who has experience and have worked with people, Black women in particular, at particular ages and junctures in their life when they are forming and shaping their identities. Chantel is not doing anything different than any other person her age. The only difference is the shit is on TV, and that's the problematic. And we'll talk about that in more details, but I wanted just to provide you with that. So they don't get along, they don't talk. And what is happening is, Chantel's continuing to have this like one-sided beef with her mother. And her mother is trying to be neutral. She's tried as hard as she can. So I will give credit to Jackie for that. She's been trying as hard as she can to be respectful of her daughter's autonomy and agency as much as she can, but that's another part of the problematic that I want to talk about as well. And so I'm looking at my notes. Just give me one sec. When I say, Chantel is attempting a coup, first of all, I mean, context clues, reading comprehension, analytical, critical thinking skills. If you name the episode "The New Queen," deductive reasoning to me, what's it called? The new queen has arrived. The deductive reasoning to me sounds like there is about to be a change in guard. Now, based on the temperament of the individuals in question, it looks like it's going to be a coup. Okay. And the reason I say that, and maybe it's unintentional, and I'm not getting into the intentionalities. I'm just trying to help people think about the how we put ourselves in these binaries, or how we put ourselves in these boxes that make it even more difficult for us to find ourselves, because we're still trying to do shit that we don't need to do. And Chantel, you don't owe anybody anything. You're a grown ass woman. You don't owe any of these women any explanation about your mother. You don't owe her any explanation about what she's done. You can have boundaries and all that. I'm all for that, because I relate, because I have mommy issues. My mom is an amazing woman. She is loved by many. She was a community activist. She was very involved in my forming years, my most vulnerable years. She would stay at home. So I get it. I get it. I have a lot of mommy issues. And a lot of us, we focus on the parent that's absent, and we think that the abandonment piece is what has caused some of us to delay in our development and growth. But in actuality, it's not that. It really is, um, immaturity, and looking at the wrong situation and reframing and thinking of it differently. And I think there's a level of absence that she feels like her mom, um, that she feels like existed between her and her mom when she was younger. There is some kind of issue around not being seen and heard. And I know that because, first of all, my mom's not from this country. And so she is what I would consider Caribbean. She's not part of one of the traditional Caribbean islands, but I say Caribbean because of the culture. Okay. And she's one of them. I grew up children of seen and not heard, and that shit was real in my family. Um, we were allowed to talk, and we were rambunctious, and we were very articulate when we were younger, but no one was listening. Like, we could say something, but it wasn't going to change anybody's mind. We could have an opinion, but it didn't matter. And that is wearing on a child, especially if they don't know why. And I came from the generation where nobody tells you why. You just do it because I said so, like I'm being hazed and shit. Okay. So I grew up, when I was in my 30s, I was like, I would tear your ass up. Don't you ever tell me to be quiet. Like, you tell me to be. In the days before my healing, I had this woman, this girl decided to tell me be quiet in a hotel restaurant, and I was just advocating for myself. I felt like the people were being discriminatory towards us because we were women. I was Black and they were women of color. I felt like they weren't being as accommodating as they could be. I know the type of clientele that was in that space, CEOs and all kinds of high power individuals. And I said to the manager, so you mean to tell me that if I was the CEO of this company and I showed up to this restaurant and you sat all of us together, that you would make all of us order the same thing? So I started getting it, so when they left, they ended up giving us what we wanted. And I said, okay, I said, fine. Okay. I went on about my business. But then I was talking and I was cussing. And she said, shh, don't say that. There are children here. I don't even remember what I said to her, because those were the days where I would go Black. Everything would go Black. And I come to people looking like this. Let me tell you, I'm a work in progress. Let me tell you something. I would snap some kind of crazy. And when I come to, I don't know what I've said, I don't know what I've done, but as a parent, that I popped the hell off. And I didn't care who was listening and who was around, because what you were never going to do is silence me. So I get where Chantel is coming. I get that it feels paternalistic or patronizing. It's patronizing to feel like someone is just tolerating your voice and that they're not really listening to you. So I get it. And I'm saying all that because she's very loud and clear amongst this cast that her mom was not what she would consider the ideal mom, or the mom that she would have wished she had in her life. And I get that. We all have those moments, and some of us don't. Some of us are fortunate enough to worship our parents because they're our best friends, and because we had a mutually beneficial and beautiful relationship. Everybody doesn't have that story. Okay. So miss me with the like, oh, you shouldn't talk to your mother like that. Mind your damn business. I'm a grown ass woman. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I'm going to talk to people the way I want to talk to them. And I know how to be respectful. And when I'm out of pocket, mother or not, I will apologize when I'm out of pocket. But what you're not going to do is manage me because of the person I'm talking to. No one gets to manage Meredith. Okay. No one gets to manage me. And one of the things I've learned as a Black woman is that one of the few things we have is our voice, our tone, our tenor, our head rolls, our body language. And you're not finna to manage that. You don't pay me enough to tell me how to talk. Okay? You haven't birthed me enough times. You didn't take care of me that well that I'm a grown ass woman and you're gonna talk to me in your kind of way. So let's get that out there. Okay. Let's just be very clear with that one. So I understand there's some people that have that very traditional respectability politic, like you honor your mother and father. I am honoring my mother and father, but when they're wrong, they're wrong. And if we're adults, we're gonna have adult conversation about it. And I had to learn how to have adult conversations. And I think that's what's missing in this moment is that there's no place to support that kind of adult conversation because everybody's just being messy as hell. And what I want to say about the dynamics is you can tell the level of maturity, and it's not by age, it's by response. So I'm not going to say that just because Denise, Brittany, and Chantel, because they're similar in age and similar in experience, and they've kind of, you know, formed this bond. And I'll say a bond. But what I will say is when you're childish, a bond can become a clique. And that's what I think has happened. It is shaped into a clique, and they are relying on their instincts to respond instead of absorbing and thinking about, as a woman, how do I want to show up? And is it worth this kind of show up in my life? Is it worth me to do this to show up? And so anyway, so they're going on a trip to Hawaii, and you know, Chantel's supposed to be, you know, she doesn't know she wants to go, and I'm just kind of like, what the fuck? Like, I get all of that, but it's like, girl, I mean, okay, she's not God. If she don't go, she don't go. And she wasn't making a big deal about it, but the way production kind of, you know, gave it to us and presented it was like, this is like the talk of the town. It's a ooh, and it reads like childish. It reads childish, and it reads childish to everybody who participates in it, and it has nothing to do with age. Um, and I encourage, you know, and I think Brittany, Chantel, and I don't know Denise well. I'm gonna leave that one alone. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm gonna just focus on Brittany and Chantel. And part of the reason why is I'm not sure of Denise's ethnicity, so I'm not sure how she was raised, her, you know, the way in which her family or household was. Um, but she comes off like a Karen. She comes off like a Karen. I'm not sure what her identity is, and it doesn't matter. We all know what a Karen is, and she comes off as that, and she really is stirring unnecessary pots. And clearly, if there is a level of, if she has experience with the Black community, and I don't know if she is Black, I'm not getting into that. What I will say is, in the Black community, this is very rare for people to still talk to people who disrespect their mother. Okay, so I understand Brittany's triggers, and I have a lot of sympathy for her because I have been there when it's like you feel like, and Brittany, I know what it feels like, girl. I'm trying to speak to y'all because in a minute, you're gonna be too old for anybody to give a shit, and you're gonna get thrown to the wolves. Like, there's still some grace, and this is a lesson that I learned. There's still some grace and still some time while people are invested and love you. And once you get to a certain age, nobody gives a shit no more. You are grown, 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 and you'll get your ass whooped. You'll go to jail. There will be some major consequences for your actions, and even if you did it in a moment of immaturity, or even if you did it with if you did it without malicious intention, you know, if it's taken that way, there's a different consequence as an adult than there is as a child. And I just want to encourage you all to think about that. Everybody thinks about. I think about that all the time too, because you know, there are a lot of things I could have handled different in my life. I was so mean in that. I was just a piece of work. I was so angry and hurt. I didn't have a voice. It's all kinds of stuff. I'll share my life story one day because I'm going to write that up. That's part of my brand too. But let's just go back to this story. And I'm trying to get to the space to have this conversation about this coup. Um, so she shows up, and it becomes a big deal that she's shown up. I mean, everybody's excited. She's on the trip to Hawaii. She shows up at dinner. Everybody's happy to see her. People have a look on their face that kind of like fake smile, like that. Huh? Hi. Oh, you made it. Oh, nice. You made it. Okay. That kind of look. And I was just like, what the hell? So anyway, so she sat down and she's chill, but she's icy. She's one of them folk that, she has a presence. Chantel has a presence. When she walks in, she has a presence. And not just because she's beautiful. Her presence really does come from within. Like, I'll say this: if Chantel can heal, she's gonna be a bad, 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 bad. Those girls are gonna be bad. Brittany, if they can really heal, fully heal, not like halfway heal, not pop culture heal, but like fully resolve who you are as a person, fully embrace it, love every piece of it, not owe nobody a damn, and walk in your truth. If you can do that, y'all gonna be some bad ass chicks. Y'all gonna be some 5-star chicks. Are you listening to me? 5-star chicks. Independen. Do you know what that means? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Independent. You'll be one of them kind of chicks. Okay. If you do the work inside, nobody can solve or heal what's inside you but you. And there is no amount of money, there is no aha moment that will reconcile how you have to decide the way in which you see your life and the direction is going in. There's no money for that. There's no apology for that. Sometimes we look for apologies, and I think Chantel's looking for her mom to be accountable. Let me tell you something. 4 scores and 7 years old. She's 100 years old. She might change because I change every day. Like I constantly fight to change every day. I want to be a better version of myself, and I try with people. I really do try. And even when I get frustrated, I apologize. That's why I apologize, because I'm a work in progress. But if she don't want to change, she's not going to change. And it's not your job to change her. It's not your job to facilitate her behaviors and how she treats people and how she titles people or labels people as friends, whether she's two-faced or not. Because what I will say is, baby, your behavior is mirror image of your mama. And you might not see it. You might not see it because it's about you. And you might not see it because you have been hurt. And you might not see that because you're trying to figure out how to be and show up for your family and your children the best way you can. So you don't see that, right? You can't see it while you're in it. But what I'm saying is, someone who's observing and someone who has a level of compassion for the whole situation, because this is very painful. I hate this shit is playing out on TV. I just hate it. I hate that we've gotten to this point in society that people are just bloodthirsty for trauma, and bloodthirsty for people to tear each other down, and bloodthirsty for people to walk around with open wounds and throw salt on them. I'm just sick of this shit. And that's why I started this channel, because I'm tired of it. So Chantel, um, um, Brittany, Jackie, look, the whole Basketball Wives crew. Let me tell you something. I have opinions on all of you, whether I like you or don't like you and all that kind of stuff. But guess what? It's not about that, because at the end of the day, you're strong black women. You're strong black women, and you model a certain level of excellence, whether you want to do it every day or not. There's an expectation when you show up, the excellence is walking the door, whether you do it or not. And I'm not telling you that excellence is the expectation of others. I'm telling you that if you want to become an eminent grown ass black woman, that the excellence has to come from within. I don't care if everybody else wears sneakers. I'm wearing my loafers. I don't give a shit if everybody else wears blouses under their suits. I'm wearing my t-shirt. I don't care. I'm showing up as my most authentic self. And that is a better storyline, and you trying to figure out how to be a better version of yourself, than tearing your mother down, because I'm telling you, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. You don't know that you will, and you may never admit it, but it is clear that your mom had a tumultuous childhood. It is clear that your mother has experienced trauma. It is clear that she's not fully healed. And the first step in being a real adult is to have sympathy and compassion, regardless of who the people are. So regardless of the fact, I'm not saying speak to them. I'm not saying be in their and be up in their face. I'm not saying agree to everything. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying that you have to ever speak to her again. I'm not saying that you shouldn't cuss when you want to cuss. But what I am saying is, there's a level of grace and compassion you have to give other people. because it trains you to give it to yourself. And most people don't know how to give themselves grace and compassion until they model it externally by offering it to other people. So what I'm talking about is grace and compassion. And a coup is not what you're looking for, boo, because there is no throne. Okay. There is no guest list tonight. I don't know if y'all know about that song, Lonely People Lonely. But somebody comes, excuse me, I'm on the list. What list? The DJ's list. Miss Thing, there is no guest list tonight. Oh, oh. It's that kind of moment. It's that kind of shit. It's that kind of moment. Like, okay, girl, there's no throne. This is a show. This is a job. And essentially you show up to your mama's job to get her fired. That's what it looks like. It's mucked up. It's diabolical. But I get it. And because I get it, it's gonna have to play itself out the way it plays itself out. I don't have a stake in this other than hoping that there's resolve, hoping that there's wholeness, hoping that there's a healthier way to see yourself and to see the relationship and reframe your thinking and be more mindful and understand the power of words and understand the power of language and understand consequence and action, all those kind. That's all I can hope for. Whether I think you're a good person, that's not what this is about. I don't. Jackie messy as fuck. I mean, I already know Jackie messy. But I ain't messing with Jackie because she looked like she would just stomp my ass out. Like she would punch me in my throat one good time, I'd be unconscious. So we're not gonna talk about people. We're not gonna disrespect people. Shout out to Jackie Christie. I pray that you continue to grow in your purpose. And I pray that you continue to be the woman that you desire to be and the woman that you can live with every day. And I pray that for all of these women on Basketball Wives. I'm not interested in tearing people down. Now I will say I'll get shady. And let me tell you something. I'll be on other people's pages being shady as fuck. I might call somebody a heifer or I might say something like, and it's not to be contradictory, but this channel has a purpose. If I go to somebody else's page, it's entertainment and I'm having fun. But you'll never catch me like really. Let me say, you won't anymore. You won't catch me anymore dogging people out because, honey, I have called some people knuckle dragging. I have talked about people's mamas. I have been so mad. Everybody's an MF. I've been in, but I once again, I need to model what I want to exist in the world, and so this channel is about that. So, Chantel, there is no coup, baby. You are a princess. Your mother is on a throne that she helped to build. I'm not talking about executive credits. I'm not talking about that. She has put her life out here. I remember her mom. I remember the whole thing when her mom passed. I remember a lot. It was a lot of story. These women have been honest about their lives in a way that a lot of people aren't. And I will say you can be delusional and honest about your life. So, for example, Jackie keep telling y'all, stop trying to pit her against her daughter. She told you that on multiple occasions. Now, when she socks you in the damn throat, don't come on TV crying. Don't accept it. If you want to press charges, press charge. However you want to handle it, how you want to handle it. But please don't act like a victim because your behavior is irresponsible when you're fueling this kind of toxicity among a mother and a daughter. So whatever you get out of that shit is what you get. If your ass gets knocked out, you get knocked out. You get cussed out, you get cussed out. And that includes Chantel, that includes Jackie. Anybody participate in this fiasco right now, you're going to get what you get. Okay? I pray that you make other decisions, but I'm sure the show has already been recorded. I don't know what the outcome is. I hope there's resolution. If not, I'll do a course on how to handle adult relationships. I'm also going to be a public scholar on my channel. I'm going to do reality television on my channel. I'm going to do creative work on my channel. I'm going to do all kinds of stuff. I am my own brand and I am my business. And I haven't had to say that yet, but yeah, I'm my own brand and my own business, and I'm launching and I'm diving into the deep, baby. I'm one of them chicks. Now, figuratively, I'm one of them chicks that dive out of a plane, not literally, because I'm afraid of heights. But that's what I do when I dig into something. And that's what I plan on doing with this channel. So let me know what you think about this conversation. What would you do? How do you navigate being an adult? How do you, as a parent, how do you navigate having a mature relationship with your daughter or your son? How do you manage those kinds of things? Do you give them space to be adult with you enough to check you when you're being ignorant and trifling and playing games? Because you're an adult too, right, parent? So you don't get to gaslight me and I don't get to check you because we're both adults now. We both pay taxes. Okay. We both have the ability to vote. We both are gainfully employed, so with that being said, I have the right to exercise myself and my autonomy the same way you have the right to exercise yours. The question is, are you going to do it to build up the kingdom or are you going to do it to tear it down? So Chantel, listen, you're already a princess. Okay. Figuratively, you have a place on this platform, but not only because your mother is the wife of a basketball player, but you are the wife of a basketball player. So wife up, baby. You come on as a wife. Don't come on as a broken child trying to get back at their mama. Come on as a grown woman who is fighting for her life to ensure that she doesn't pass on any generational curses to her children, that she gives them the love and the care they deserve. That's how you show up. Now, if this is just entertainment, that's fine, but that's how you show up. Not being nasty and nitpicky. Like, I'm tired of that. I'm so tired. Like, I follow reality television and I watch it because I do enjoy it, and I'm down for some good tea. But when it gets to the point where it's real toxic and it destroys people and their personhood and their self-esteem and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, okay, after a while, like, why am I watching it? Like, this is like some gladiator shit. I don't want to see you and your mama tear themselves up. I don't want to see that. I want to see you resolve that your mama's who she is and she's going to be that. And whether she apologizes to you publicly, privately, or never, that you're still going to show up the woman that you want to be. And that it's not going to be reactionary, but it's going to be preemptive. You're going to create boundaries for yourself. You're going to walk into spaces knowing how you're going to conduct yourself, regardless of how other people conduct themselves. Nobody makes you do anything. Okay? People can inspire you to cuss them out, but they didn't force you to put those words on your lips. So that's it. That's all I gotta say. I think I'm gonna follow this up with a podcast. I might, and do some more research on this whole parental thing. Maybe get a guest speaker or something. Let me know what you think. These are some of the bondages that I feel like we experience, especially in the Black community, because we are so respectability, politic driven, and decorum driven that we like really take on these social constructions and titles so fucking seriously that we will literally spend our lives in cages just to please somebody, just so somebody can say you were a good daughter, or just so somebody can say you're a good mama. Listen, I don't know what your mama done did. I know what my mama done did. And that's on her and her business. And she's gotta carry that. And guess what? I have to create my experience and I have to carry that as well. So there's no coup. You actually have the ability to inherit it. The question is, are you going to set this show up to inherit a gold mine or an incendiary? You know what's called incendiary? Incendiary? Yeah. Are you gonna, build it? Are you gonna build a fire with wood in a forest, or are you gonna build a dumpster fire? Throw a Molotov cocktail in a big ass trash can. You know what I'm saying? Are you going to come in with compassion, or are you going to come in, venomous and just spewing all kinds of nasty stuff out of your mouth that you're gonna regret saying? I'm telling you now. Long as I live, I'm telling you, lessons learned sooner than later. Own what the hell you say, because you're going to pay for it. There's so many things I've said that I regret ever saying out of my mouth. And I say that because it reminds me to stay humble and never think that my words don't have power. Because if you talk reckless, you must think your words don't have power. You must think what you got to say is not important. I know what I say is manifesting. So I'm very careful on how I talk to people. I'm very careful on what I say. And when I bring that energy, it's my job to manage it. Nobody's going to make me come out of my humanity. No racist, no sexist, no trifling ass mama, no trifling ass daddy, no stupid ass, work colleague, no past that I'm getting tired of hearing. Nobody's going to make me do that. And when you reduce it to calling people names and gaslighting and saying negative things, that's essentially what you're doing, is you're giving people the power. And you feel like your words aren't that valuable. Kind of like junk food. You just say shit because you're there is a fine line between being reckless with your mouth and being strategic. And I choose to be strategic with what I say. That doesn't mean I won't say some trashy stuff out my mouth. That don't mean I won't check the hell out of you. That don't mean I ain't got shade for days. You'll be in the dark thinking to see eclipse when I'm done with your ass. But what I can say for sure is that I manage my mouth and I'm responsible for what comes out of my mouth. So baby, look, just prepare yourself for the coronation. Okay? Think about who you want to show up to be on this show. What legacy do you want to leave from viewers? Not the hurt girl. Not the hurt girl who's trying to get redemption and reconciliation with her mom. Okay? That's not going to happen on this show. And even if it happens publicly, you know damn well your mama. So if she does it for the cameras, then you know that when the cameras are off, you're still not getting what you want. So get what you want. This is a platform for you to get what you want. And that is to find people who support you, find people who love you, find people who relate to what you've gone through, and embrace it. That's what you do. That's what you do. That's what this is about, y'all. So thank you for coming to Lit But Alert. I'm about to eat me some lunch. And this is so freeing. So I just need y'all to understand something, okay? I'm going to say this and I'm going to leave. I've spent more than 3 decades working for other people. I've been very good at it. There are very few jobs in my life that I didn't get promotions. And not because I was looking for them, but because I'm solution focused, because I'm creative, because I'm honest, because I critique without cruelty. And when I am being cruel, I let people know I'm about to unleash. But I'm always thinking about the better. And I'm always thinking about what's for the good and the good energy. What is the maximum positive outcome for an experience? That's always what I'm thinking about. And it's gotten me a long way. So there's no way in hell, after working for all these folk for all these years, that I'm going to come on here and be anything less than Meredith Elaine Davis. So if you're looking for somebody else, she's not here, honey. That one, she gone. I am my own brand. I own my own business. I am an entrepreneur. I am an artist. I am an intellectual. I am a scholar. I'm all of those things. And I'm not allowing anybody to box me in. I don't have a niche. My niche is me. What's my niche? I solve problems. What's my niche? I talk about things that are complex and I break them down. That's my niche. So I have skill sets, like Liam Neeson said, I have skill sets. I have a certain skill set. I have a certain set of skills. And I'm going to activate them on every one of my channels. I have a Dr. Meredith Davis channel. I have a Social Realities with Dr. Med channel. I also have, and I'm going to announce that, so I'm not ready to announce it yet, but I have started my own LLC, and that is going to be Exchange, an organization that exchanges ideas, does research, planning, a lot of technical executive things. That's going to be my money maker. That's going to be how I show up in the world to contribute and get paid for it. I hope this is a way for me to get paid. But this is for me, this is therapy. Like I get to be me. Like you get to see Meredith. Like I'm just not gonna say, I'm not gonna, what is it called? Shit. I'm not gonna silence myself. I'm not going to code switch. I'm not going to try and figure out how I can say things that will turn someone's head. I'm going to just be me. And me is provocative enough. Child, you don't know what can come out of this mouth. Okay, because one minute I could be quoting scripture, next minute I'll be tearing your ass up. And that's because I'm all things. I'm a multitude of different types of people. I have different experiences. There are different parts to me. And I want to share that with you in hopes that you begin to find your most authentic self. So let me know what you think of this video. Sorry about all the technical stuff. I'm going to definitely work on it. This is just my first installment. I will be coming to you every Wednesday between, 12, I'd say, and 2. I will post the live in advance with a topic. And right now we're focusing on, this is kind of like a lunch and learn, lit but alert. So we'll either talk about the rest of Basketball Wives, the rest of the season of Basketball Wives, or I may pivot and talk about something else that I find really fascinating, which is the secret lives of Mormon wives. Ooh, baby, that gives me life. That show gives me life. Okay. These MFs are working for that check. Okay. Let me tell you something. I love a good show where people work for that check. And let me tell you something, Miss Taylor, that's my girl. That's my little ride guy right there. Now she got a lot of problems, but baby, she working for that check. She's working for that check. You better work for that check, Michaela. You better work for that check, Whitney. Work for those checks. Man, you are showing up in such a beautiful, amazing way. And I want to talk about this. I'm going to ask a question, not to be offensive, but what is the stance on the Mormon church when it comes to race now? Is it still something that, a lot of people are racist, or they still have those kind of beliefs? I would love to talk to any of you. I know I'm just starting out, but look, check my receipts, baby. Okay. I mean, I'm not a novice. I'm not new. I'm new to this, but I ain't new to this. If you know what I'm saying, I'm new to this, but I've interviewed all kinds of people. I've sat with Sonia Sanchez. I interviewed Jesse Jackson. I interviewed Andrew Young. I walked Usher through a museum. Okay, so I know how to talk to people. I know how to be around people, and I'm about to take all these skills so that I can be, what I want to be for myself. Anyway, sorry I ran off too long. Like and subscribe, please. This is my opinion. This is about education and learning. I am only responding to what I have seen, and I am interpreting that. I am not calling these things facts. I'm providing information based on my personal and professional experience. Like and subscribe. Hope to see you next week. Bye.